We'd like to welcome each and every individual to Voices of Integrity with Business Owners and specifically hiring. And this one's going to be, how do I say it? It's going to be hard for all of you. You might be like, how do you know that, Mark? Because I'm an expert in this conversation. When I was 24 years old, I started to get into recruiting. Well, that's not really true. When I was 15 and 16, I started getting into recruiting. I started getting into recruiting when I was 24, and my livelihood depended upon it. My house payment, my wife, my daughter, like my very existence depended upon me being a good recruiter. When you're a driver analytic, you're not a naturally good recruiter because you don't have the people skills that are required for recruiting. But I developed like a science on how to do recruiting. And over the next 3 years, I did so much recruiting, it was insane. The president of that company, Preferred Mortgage Associates, so from the ages of 24 to 27, I engulfed myself into recruiting, became a monster recruiter. The president of that company, Tony Davis, he was probably in his, 40s maybe, worked for Caterpillar all around the world. He was their executive. He was in the executive track. The guy, he had his MBA. The guy was crazy. And he said to me when I was probably 26, he said, "Mark, you are the best recruiter I've ever met anywhere in the world, bar none." So most business owners honestly never get great at recruiting. It's almost like it's a necessary evil, kind of like in sales. Like, if you got a strong enough business, like if you buy a business, you don't have to really learn how to start something from nothing because you just are maintaining a business. And so if you have enough customers, you don't have to go out and sell. So you may never get really good at selling. My life depended on my ability to learn how to sell. My life depended on the ability to learn how to recruit. And if you think your recruiting as a business owner is hard, I just want to say maybe not so much. Try being a recruiter of 100% straight commission where, it's going to take you 6 to 12 to 18 months to really start making any money. And you're going to be 100% straight commission. So selling 100% straight commission positions is probably one of the hardest, if not the hardest thing to sell. And yet I figured out how to do it and build it from one of the smallest companies in Illinois to one of the largest in the Midwest. So write this down. To be a great recruiter, you need to take notes. If you think you're a good note taker, then talk to Elaine. Look at her notes. So we often compare ourselves to ourselves or compare ourselves to other people who are not that much better than us or worse than us. And we feel that we're good note takers or feel good about anything. And in reality, we're really not, because we're not comparing ourselves to. So there's a handful of people that I would consider in my life. Kevin King was one of them. Monster note taker. Man, this guy was a note taker like crazy. Elaine is right up there. She's right at the top of the echelon of taking notes. So in taking notes, and taking notes, this is going to be important for you in recruiting. Okay, so here are things you can start with. There are 4 things in listening to this training, this coaching, this mentoring, this podcast. There are 4 things that you must be able to do to go ahead and really learn what's being taught here. Number 1, understand significance. You need to understand the significance of this training. This is far, 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 far more than recruiting. Goes back down into when you were conceived in your mother's womb. This goes into why you were created, what's your purpose in life. When I say understand significance, people don't understand what I'm saying. They think they do, maybe, but they don't. They don't know how to internalize. It's interesting because if you want to figure out significance, ask Kenny Bontrager. That young guy he seems to understand significance more than most anybody I've ever met. But yet he comes back and he says, I want to understand how to be significant, how to be more significant. If you're not internalizing what I'm saying, talk to Elaine, because Elaine knows how to internalize things maybe like I've never seen anybody. And what does she want? She wants to internalize more. It's weird, isn't it? Kenny's good at significant, but he wants more. Elaine's good at internalization, but she wants more. So the first is understand significance. Number 2 is crazy curiosity. The nuances, how I study people, how I study situations. It's what made me, according to Tony Davis, the best recruiter he's ever seen anywhere in the world. He lived over in Africa, been all over the world. Tom Kuntz has said similar types of things. Many of our clients have said similar types of things. They're like, anybody I interview, they're like, I've never been through an interview anything like this before. Like this thing's amazing. So crazy curiosity. Don't roll your eyes. Don't say, oh, it's not that big of a deal. Number 3, connect the dots. A lot of this stuff is just not that complicated. Dot A, dot B. Well, what am I supposed to do with it, Mark? Connect the dots. Like, don't make things. What's weird about people is people go ahead and make things complicated that aren't. And then they make things that aren't complicated are. It's weird. Drama is great in sales and recruiting. In recruiting. And really, when you're recruiting, you're selling. This is what you're doing. So drama is great, but if it's used improperly, don't use drama on me. Use drama on the applicant. Get excited about their potential. Understand their potential. Understand, the essence of who you're talking to. It's somebody who's created differently than all other 8 billion plus people on the planet. See their potential greater than they see their potential. And then number 4 is paint a picture. This is harder than connecting dots. So painting a picture, it's just harder. So you need to see this person, I'll bring my own belief system into it. You need to see this person as God sees this person, the creator of individuals. Like if you don't see him as God sees him, like you're not going to, there's something magical. There's something in essence about the person you're talking to. So these are the 4 things that if you don't understand these 4 things, if you don't embed these things into the very DNA, you're gonna miss people. You're gonna hire people that you shouldn't, and you're not gonna hire the people you should. So, any questions that anybody has on this?
Tell me again about the
About the
Sorry.
what?
Tell me again about the crazy curiosity.
You know how small children are just crazy in their curiosity?
Uh-huh.
You know, so they're just, why is this, Grandpa? Mommy, why is this? Mommy, look at this. Daddy, look at this. Like they're just, it's like everything's new to them. I wondered years ago why my small children would watch Blue's Clues like 100 times. Why do they watch things 100 times? It makes no sense. Like I have a rule, don't watch anything more than once. But why? The reason is their brains have never experienced something in the past. So this is Lily. She likes to learn with Grandpa.
My mom said should watch things only once, not like 100 times.
She does. Okay. So when we go ahead, and the reason children do it is their brains, every time they see something, it's a new experience. So adults, what we do is we say, oh, we've heard that before. We've seen that before. But kids don't. They're like watching the same show, but it's different every single time. Tom Kuntz is like this. But he's been on literally thousands of podcasts with me. He might hear something 100 times, but yet every time it's different, it's new. Where I have other people, often family members, that hear something maybe 2 or 3 times and they say, I get it, Dad. I understand what you're saying. I've heard this before. Like, oh yeah, I understand that. And it's like, no, you don't. You don't understand the mystery, the magic of it. You just don't. So curiosity is like how can Mark get so passionate about recruiting? Because it's a part of my life vision. See, it's significant. It's not some task that I just have to do. Okay, I have to do recruiting, so I'm going to do recruiting. Get it over with, get it done. Trust me, the applicant understands when you pick up that phone and you say, hi, this is Mark Boersma. When that applicant can feel your energy. And trust me, they feel a different energy with you than me. Because see, I believe my life is significant because I believe that I was put on this planet to do, and I know what I was put on this planet to do. And so that is impacting people. I mean, it's touching every single person in the world, one person at a time, making a huge difference in every aspect of their life in a really fun and exciting way. And yes, that's 8+ billion people. And so it's every single person. So that person's come into my life, and I have literally seconds to change that person's life forever. I have got to feel their energy better than they've ever felt their energy. They have to feel a connection to me in seconds. This is why it's not an ego thing. It's not an arrogant thing. It's confidence. It's doing this thousands of times and having people say, Mark, I've never met anybody like you. In interviews, in the first conversation. So the reason I am so good at what I do is because I see the significance. I connect the significance of talking to this individual into my life vision. Like I think, Mark, if you don't do this well, if you make one mistake, one voice, one tone, one thing, if I'm not attentive to this individual, if I miss one thing in this individual, I might not be able to achieve my life vision. And so it's significant. Like they have a life vision too that likely they haven't discovered. They don't understand it. They don't understand their life vision. They don't understand how amazing they are. They have no clue how amazing I am. I'm not any more amazing than they are. We're both created in the image of God, I believe. And so, but I need to understand my significance. Like it's cool. Like Kenny, once we were driving and he said, like, why do you invest so much time into me? I just started laughing. Like, I'm like, he doesn't understand. He doesn't understand how amazing he is, but I do. I think I'm getting far more from him than he's getting from me. And I understood that. Now, is it because I'm a better student than he is? Maybe, I don't know. But I see his, like, I think he's a part of my life vision. Like, he's a part of me changing the world. He's a part of what I was put on this planet to do. I'll never forget Cheryl and I and Ginger Ann were sitting at the lower level of our house by the river. Everything was slow motion. And Cheryl said to me, why me? And it's like, she doesn't understand. She doesn't understand how amazing she is. She doesn't understand. She doesn't see herself. She can feel it, but she doesn't understand because she's not used to somebody else seeing the significance like I did. She could feel my energy and I could feel her energy. And so she and I together in another year, 2 years, 3 years, she'll look back on that day and she'll see in herself what I see. But she can feel the energy. She can feel it. She's like, here's a guy that genuinely cares about me. Not only does he genuinely care about me, but he actually sees something in me. I'm not sure I'm seeing that, but she can feel it deep in the core and the essence of who she is. See, people, when you interview them, they don't understand how special they are. But when they talk to me, they feel it, they sense it. It's very hard to teach. It's very hard to teach, but just look at how I'm teaching it now. Like this guy, it's like he's trying to convince us, he's trying to seduce us, he's trying to help us to understand like what you're doing is so important in recruiting. Like what I'm recruiting for is life changing. And that might be for my company, it might be for your company. It might be for a position I have, or it might be for a position you have, or it might be for a position something totally different. And so if you don't get excited about the individual, if you don't know how to communicate that, you're not going to be, I want to say to each one of you, sometime in the near future, you're a better recruiter than I am. It would be a tremendous compliment. It's not out of ego. It's out of over 3 decades of work and perfecting my craft to, I mean, when I look at kind of what I'm doing in recruiting, similar to what Melissa looks like when she's creating ice cream cakes, except he's been doing that for, I don't know, 3 years. I've been doing it for over 30 years. So it's just like she is in the ice cream cake, 10 times that. It's just because it's been decades that I've been working on perfecting the craft. How do I go ahead and recruit in a more effective way? So this is all like, you might be thinking, this is fluff, Mark. I don't understand. And it's like, you don't understand maybe because you don't understand the significance you have. You can't, Tom Kuhn says, you can't give to somebody else something you first don't have yourself. Like, you can't really give true love to somebody else if you don't have true love for yourself. I was raised very conservative Baptist, and so big on don't have pride. I get that. It's a good thing. It really is. But sometimes I wonder if some Baptists might talk about humility, but might not be actually humble, might think they're better than other people. So when I'm talking about understanding the significance, it's understanding you are created different than every other person in the world for a reason, and there's nobody like you. That's special. That's amazing. Now, before we jump into some practical things on what to do, make sure you internalize all of this. Make sure you understand the significance. Make sure you're asking crazy questions. Make sure you're connecting the dots, and then you're painting a picture. Make sure you're doing those things in what I'm saying. But then I'll give you some practical things. All right. So the any questions that you have on what we've gone over up to this point? Any thoughts? Yep.
I would say I do agree with you on and I don't recruit, but when I call people, your tone of voice and the way, even though they can't see your body language, the way you hold your body language very much depends on whether they're open to have a talking session or if they just pass you off.
Nice. So, so there's 3 generations of Boersmas: my mom, my wife, and my daughter, Ginger Ann. Let me tell you, those are 3 powerful women. Listen to them, the interview that the 3 of them had. Tom Kuhn said that, and so Tom, if you don't know, I'm sure you do, but if this is your first podcast, Tom Kuhn is the most recent past president of Century 21, largest real estate franchise in the world, over 140,000 agents in over 70 different countries. This guy in recruiting, you'll hear a lot about him. Recruiting is selling, is really what it is. It's a next tier higher than selling. It's selling somebody on working with you. It's selling somebody on partnering with you. It's selling somebody on, it's doing that. This is the solution library. And in the solution library, if you go to business, you'll see here's some question: hiring, recruiting, onboarding. Here's some questions. So this is kind of a level 1. And then here's level 2, and here's level 3. So in future podcasts, we'll talk about each of these different. The first level of questions is 3 minutes. The second level 2 questions. And so it's like dating, it really is. It's like dating, and I haven't dated for, over 39 years. I mean, I date my wife. I haven't dated, for over 39 years, but it's like dating. What's the purpose of the first date? It's to go ahead and put yourself in position to get the second date. How do you do that? Don't talk about yourself. Talk about the other individual. But that's 3 minutes. So they're going to be, based on the 3 minutes, they're going to say, I've never had an interview. I've never talked to somebody like this. That first 3 minutes of the interview is everything, because it creates curiosity. They're like, wow, I want to talk to this person. I talk to a lot of people about jobs, but this person's different, like really different. I can't put my finger on it, but it seems like they actually care about me, whether I join them or not. Like, even I have this feeling that even if I don't join them, even if I don't take the position, that somehow this person cares about me and wants me to do whatever I was put on this planet to do. The next 11 minutes is to ask them questions to determine if you want to date them again. So they're going to want to date you after 3 minutes because you're curious. They're going to be like, I've never met this. That's just interesting. That's just, wow. And then So the 11 minutes is, do you want to date them? Do they qualify? Do they fit? Do they have the skill or the learning or the knowledge or the experience, or do they have the teachability, the coachability? What about their personality? Like in 11 minutes, so you have 3 minutes for them, 11 minutes to determine, do you want to date them again? They're going to ask you, they're going to be interested in a second date if you do the first 3 minutes right. The next 11 minutes is going to be, are you going to want to go ahead? And that's 14 minutes, 3 plus 11. The next 16 minutes is going to, if you want to go ahead and bring them in for an interview, the next 16 minutes is going to go ahead and be asking questions and dialoguing with them, where you'll ask them, you know, do you have any other questions for me? And they're like, yeah, how do I get started? If you don't want to date them again, if you don't think that they're a good fit for what you're looking for, then what you want to do is you want to take those 16 minutes just to pour into them, to help them find a position, to help you. Like if it's not the right position, it's okay, but you're not just interested in yourself and filling the position. You're interested in helping them find a position. If it's not the position you're interviewing for, do you have your networks? How can you refer them to somebody else? Maybe they're not a right fit now, but maybe, you know, later. As we get into this, you know, into the recruiting, it's magical. It is so cool. It is so cool. I can't even tell you. Like the first thing that pops into my mind when I think of recruiting, it's spending time with my 8 grandchildren. Like that's what it reminds me of. Like all 8 of them are so different and they're so fun and so interesting. It's like, I want more time with them. I want to see how their little minds work. So if you have any questions, connect with the individual who invited you to participate in today's session, or you can call toll free 888-230-2300, outside the US 630-393-9909. And always remember, we can accomplish so much more together than we ever could on our own. Have an amazing day. Bye-bye.